Hello family, and welcome back to our wild Ohio.
This is the Ultimate Morel Mushroom Hunting Guide, Part 1. I can't lie, spring is my absolute favorite time of year. The birds are chirping, the flowers are starting to pop up, and thank goodness, it's morel season. Have you ever wondered what separates the novice mushroom hunter from the pro who comes back with a full basket? It's not just luck. There's a secret to understanding these amazing fungi that most people miss, and I'm going to share it with you. The whole reason I'm creating this ultimate guide is to give anyone from total beginners to seasoned foragers a complete working knowledge of morels and how to find them. So if you watch this entire series, I'm confident that with a little persistence, you will find more morel mushrooms than you ever thought possible. So what's the first secret that most people don't know about morels? Morels aren't actually just one kind of mushroom. True morels are not an individual species. Instead, they represent an entire genus of mushrooms known as mortella. The one species that serves as a reference for the whole group is Mortella esculenta, also known as the common morel. Now, knowing that there are many types of morels is one thing, but how do you actually use that information to find them? Before I reveal how to use this secret to your advantage, let's cover another critical piece of the puzzle: how to be 100% sure what you found is a true morel. All morel species share some key features, even though they come in different sizes, colors, and shapes. When you look at a morel, you'll see it's not your typical cap and stem mushroom. It has no gills and no pores. Instead, it has that unique, sponge-like, pitted cap. Mycologists call this the spore-bearing structure, but the most important identification feature, the one that will keep you safe and confident, is what's inside. This is the secret to never making a mistake. You must cut it in half, from top to bottom. A true morel is completely hollow inside. The edges of the cap will meet perfectly with the edge of the stem, creating one continuous hollow core. Most experienced hunters can spot a morel from 10 feet away. But for newcomers, cutting it in half is the non-negotiable step that confirms you have a true edible morel. Okay, so you know what they look like and how to identify them? But that's useless if you don't know the most important thing of all: where do they actually grow? Answering where do morels grow is a bit like asking where do fish swim? The answer is all over the place. Because there are so many different species, it's hard to pin down one exact spot. Generally, they grow in relation to hardwood trees, often near riverbanks or in moist, loamy soil. It's knowing which specific type of morel grows in which specific habitat. Let me show you exactly how to use this knowledge. Knowing the different species is like having a treasure map. According to the database Species Fungorum, there are over 260 records for the Morchella genus, which includes various species and subspecies. That number is probably a bit high, but it shows you the diversity we're talking about. Let's look at the most notable varieties you're likely to encounter. The one we mentioned earlier, this is the common or yellow morel. It's the classic postcard perfect mushroom many people picture. But what if you're not seeing yellows? Then you might be in a spot for a different kind. This brings us to another key species, Morchella elata, the black morel. As the name suggests, it has a darker appearance with dark ridges on its pitted cap. The secret to finding these is to change your search area. Black morels are commonly found in the pine forests where I live. So if you've been striking out in hardwood forests, a trip to a pine stand could completely change your luck. See how knowing the species opens up new hunting grounds? But knowing about black and yellow morels is useless if you don't know about the specialist morels that appear in very specific, unusual conditions. Let me show you the process for finding these. Have you ever seen a forest after a fire? It might look desolate, but for a mushroom hunter, it can be a goldmine. This is where you find the so-called burn site morels, like Morchella tomentosa. They thrive in these areas for a couple of fascinating reasons. One theory is that after a fire, there's a ton of nutrition in the soil with very little competition, since other plants are gone. The mushrooms, which have been dormant underground, seize this opportunity to fruit. Another theory is that the death of their host trees triggers an emergency response. The fungus senses its home is gone and has a sudden urge to sporulate, to release its spores and find a new place to live. So the secret tip here is, don't overlook burn sites from the previous year. They are prime real estate for certain morel species. But what if you live in the city? Do you have to drive for hours to find morels? Not necessarily. Here's a secret that urban dwellers need to know. Meet Morchella importuna, also known as the urban morel. This species is a game changer because it can be found in places you'd never think to look. Wood chip piles, new landscaping, and other disturbed urban areas. I once found this exact species just steps from my own front door in some fresh wood chips. The tip here is to keep your eyes peeled in your own neighborhood, especially in the spring after landscaping projects. Now, just when you think you have all the rules down, nature throws you a curveball. The final secret for today is the rule breaker itself, the half-free morel, or Morchella punctypes. This one has a cap that is not fully attached to the stem, which throws a lot of people off. If you cut it, you'll see the cap hangs down like a skirt, attached only at the very top. Knowing this one exists is crucial so you don't pass it by thinking it's something else. Of course, with all this talk of different morels, you might be wondering if there are any dangerous lookalikes. The answer is yes, and knowing them is just as important as knowing the real thing. One that comes to mind is the false morel, esculenta. Honestly, even though it's called a false morel, to me it doesn't look much like one at all. First, the cap isn't pitted like a sponge. It's folded and wrinkled, almost like a brain. Second, and most importantly, if you cut it in half, it is not hollow. It's filled with cottony fibers or chambers. You definitely want to avoid this one. The other potential lookalike is Verpa bohemica, sometimes called the early morel, because it often shows up a few weeks before true morels. Again, it fails the key identification tests. The cap is more wrinkled than pitted, and when you cut it open, the stem is not hollow and the cap is only attached at the very top, much like a half-free morel, which can cause confusion. The biggest danger with this one is excitement. It's often the first mushroom of spring, and eager hunters might jump to conclusions. Always remember the rule: if it's not hollow from top to bottom, put it back on the ground. And that brings us to the end of this episode, my friends. We've just scratched the surface. And you really don't want to miss part 2, trust me.
Well, this brings us to the end of another episode, my friends. It's always a pleasure to share this journey with you, and I truly hope you found some valuable insights along the way. If you'd like to stay connected, I invite you to join our family by signing up for our newsletter at ourwildohio.com, so we can keep you up to date on everything we have planned. Also, it helps support the channel and doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us more than you know. We're also dropping bombs of knowledge over on Instagram, TikTok, and X, so don't miss out on the unique content that you'll only see there. Now get out there and enjoy our wild Ohio, and until we meet again, stay wild, my friends. Thank you for watching Our Wild Ohio. It's support from viewers like you who make it all possible. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. Join our family and become a member of Our Wild Ohio by visiting the link in the description below. And until we meet again, stay wild, my friends.